Well, a very pleasant good evening. Time for Startup Talk, brought to you by Indian River State College and the Dan K. Richardson EDI. Impressive there, Mr. Kindred?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got some cheat sheets there.
I'm glad you got your cheat sheet this evening.
Yeah.
And I want to welcome everyone to another segment and installment of Startup Talk, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. And as I always say, what a great place it is to own and operate a business along the beautiful Research and Treasure Coast. We will spend time during our hour this evening to highlight and create awareness regarding the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs which exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am indeed Tom Kindred, and I serve the community as the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Our show, as always, today is powered by the SBDC at IRSC and the great folks and our friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So how are you this evening, Greg?
Doing well. You know, I got to compliment IRSC on the new green paint that they have on the Stewart campus.
I have not been down there maybe since they painted something green.
No, it's just algae. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, we're very involved in the most recent algae outbreak, as we were a number of months ago. You may remember we had Dick Cantner on from the SBDC.
Oh yeah.
And of course the SBDC at IRSC is the point organization for for programs to assist small business. So as we monitor the issue over the coming days, it could be that they again offer some emergency bridge loan programs and other programs.
Channel 12 was talking about that the SBA was going to jump in here because this is absurd.
So we've had a number of conference calls the last couple of days since we returned to campus on Tuesday after the holiday weekend. So things are happening. Yes, you are right. It is unfortunate, but we are kind of covered in green right now, and so we are working at the SBDC to just try to unravel all this and figure out what we can do to help businesses. And you don't think an awful lot about that, but it is a very good point. There's a lot of people that their business is kind of focused on the lagoon and the river and the water sports. I mean, we've been hearing from folks that did the kayak and the paddleboard rentals, restaurants, bait and tackle stores, boat charters, and so there's all kinds of folks out there within our region are affected by these kinds of issues. So anyway, it is something certainly the SBDC is paying very close attention to, and hopefully we will have information that will help folks again weave their way through all this.
Good stuff.
Yep. But everything else is all right with you, Greg? We're everything. Where are we with any sports news that we need to cover from the IRSC?
Counting down the days to IRSC's tip-off.
When is that?
I think it's November 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm ready to go to a sporting event. Baseball's ended, I guess, or has college baseball ended?
Yes.
So that's over. So we've got no girls softball. We have no boys baseball. We have no basketball. We have no volleyball.
Volleyball's, I would imagine, she's going to start practice. You got to get her on the show.
That's right.
I would imagine they start practice in a couple of weeks.
I think you're right, because we've got a big event coming up in August on campus that the CCTI works with, and we had to kind of work around the volleyball practice. So I think you're right. Things must be getting ready to get kicked off.
Oh, you bet. Yep.
With volleyball. So tonight, Greg, again, I got some great guests tonight. Great subject tonight. We've got with us tonight Professor Cliff Kemp, who is a master instructor in the Computer Information Technology Department at Indian River State College.
He's in the wrong place.
Well, Greg, maybe after the show he might be able to give you some pointers on some things.
Yeah. Okay. Teach me how to turn it on.
Welcome to the show, Cliff.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm forward to this discussion today.
Absolutely. And we also have with us Mr. Stephen Nicholson. He is also in the cybersecurity program. He is the laboratory director for the cybersecurity program, again, in the computer information technology program at the Kite Center at Indian River State College. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. So what we're going to talk about tonight is cybersecurity. Now, I know
classified emails.
That's what?
Classified emails.
That's classified email.
No,
well, I thought it might be a timely topic since our FBI director is on the hot seat today.
Oh my!
Talking about emails. That's right.
Should be.
So it is a timely topic, but I will tell you that recently, and I was talking to Stephen and Professor Kemp as we came in the building this evening. I was talking to them about the SBDC. I recently spent some time in a conference call and a webinar because the SBDC has really begun to recognize cybersecurity now as an issue for small business. And just to, again, our show, as everyone knows who listens, is dedicated to entrepreneurship and small business and all the things we do at the college to support that small business marketplace. But, small businesses, as we've said many times, really the lifeblood of our economy, responsible for well over 60% of all new job creation in the U.S. These economic mainstays, these small businesses also account for well over 50% of all U.S. sales. And really over half of all private sector payrolls. And the problem is, while they're providing all that for our local economies, these businesses could just be one unlucky mouse click away from closing their doors. If a malicious email attachment or a compromised website results in a data breach. So it is really becoming a big issue, cybersecurity, and not just an issue for big business. It's an issue for every business, and certainly I think we're going to talk tonight a little bit about how cybersecurity is an issue for even small business.
And, you keep hearing college databases that are getting hacked. I mean, it seems like every day, when you're looking at, a news blog or whatever, you'll find more of these security issues. I mean, it's just reality.
Well, and again, we can. It almost becomes a little bit it's a regular occurrence now for us to receive an email as a college employee, warning us of some bad email that could come through. Keep your eyes peeled for this phishing email, and so yes, you're absolutely right. So we're going to talk cybersecurity, but real quickly before we get into our discussion, I just wanted to quickly kind of cover a couple of neat events that are coming up in the terms of business training. But I looked this morning. Of course, it's early in July, so when I looked this morning, I checked our calendar of events. Again, there's there's a couple of dozen business trainings, workshops, seminars that are going to take place in July all across our region. Everything from developing social media, understanding Florida sales and use tax, how to start a small business, Excel training, business plan, marketing your business. So again, I encourage everyone to go to that IRSCbiz.com site and look at that events calendar and check it out. Got an interesting event that I will be presenting at on Saturday. It is put on by the SBA, the Small Business Administration. It's called Encore Entrepreneurs. That's you, Greg. You are an
senile?
Yeah, not senile entrepreneurs, encore entrepreneurs.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Have you ever wondered how to leverage your career experience to become a job creator? Are you among the 63% of Americans who plan to work during retirement? You're working during retirement, aren't you, Greg?
Yes, yeah. Definitely.
So if so, then join the U.S. Business Administration and SCORE and the SBDC for an event designed to give you real-world, actionable information so you can pursue entrepreneurship and self-employment. So going to be a very interesting event. That's this coming Saturday, July the 9th. It'll take place at 9:30. And the only problem is I can't tell you where it's going to take place. That's a secret. Okay, well, if I have to tell you, it's going to take place at Kaiser University. Okay, on US 1 down in Port St. Lucie. So Encore Entrepreneurs, yes. We've got Understanding Florida Sales Tax and Use Taxes, another great seminar for a small business. That's going to take place on July the 13th at the Hope Sound Library down in Hope Sound. Workshop is designed for just about anyone who's interested in gaining a better understanding of Florida sales tax. Consumers, business owners, operators will all benefit from this course. Students will learn about a reseller certificate, the responsibilities that go along with it, and the procedures for collecting and filing. So excellent course.
By the way, we got 2 calls today on the manufacturing. They just started this week, right?
You're right, July 5th.
Yeah.
We started the daytime class down at Paradigm. And wound up having about 11 students in that class, which is a great number for that class. So, yeah, excellent program. Just, again, cannot say enough about that program. Excellent
Really cool.
program. Now, remember, we've got a nighttime Fast Track to Manufacturing program starting in August at the main campus in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
Nighttime class. Really designed for kind of an individual who's already got a job working during the day and looking to make that move into manufacturing.
Sure.
So that's a great class, and we'll talk again about those. Again, another great seminar: how to start a small business. If you've been considering starting your own business but unsure of where to begin, this is the workshop for you. Again, next time around, July the 13th at the Moorgate Library down in Martin County. And again, so great seminar there. And again, one of my favorites, and we had the gentleman that teaches this class on the show a ways back, Franchising 101, all about franchising and how to survive and succeed. Rick Champagne, remember Rick Champagne we had on the show? Excellent seminar and workshop if you're thinking about going into the world of franchising. He is an expert on franchising, and it's a great seminar. That'll take place on July the 14th. That's next Thursday, I believe. That's going to be down at the Chastain campus in Stuart, Florida. So those are the upcoming trainings. I encourage everyone to go to the www.irscbiz.com site, check all those upcoming trainings out. And the most important thing to remember about all those trainings, the majority of those trainings that are put on by SBDC, SCORE, and SBA are no charge. Absolutely no charge to attend those workshops and trainings. I tell folks all the time, back when I was in business, had I really taken the time to become engaged and participate in these programs offered here at Indian River State College, I'm confident I could have been a better manager, owner, and operator. The college and its president, Dr. Massey, and the Board of Trustees have done an incredible job of building what I like to call a very powerful one-stop shop for business assistance and support through the Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute. The EDI is made up of the Small Business Development Center, the Business Incubation Program, and the Corporate and Community Training Institute. Again, you can always get more information on all that at irscbiz.com. So with that, Greg, I want to reintroduce Professor Cliff Kemp, a master instructor in the computer division at the Kite Center, who specializes in the area of cybersecurity. Welcome to the show, Professor.
It's nice to be here, and I look forward to our discussion, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking time out tonight to come by. We've also got with us Mr. Stephen Nicholson, who is a cybersecurity expert. We'll call him an expert.
Cybersecurity manager.
That's right. Cybersecurity manager. Okay. Or / expert.
There you go.
Cybersecurity manager at the Kite Center. So welcome again, Stephen, to the show. So let's start very, very quickly, guys, as I always do with guests. We'll start with you, Professor Kemp. Just, a little bit of your background, a little bit of history, and your pathway to the college. How'd you find your way to Indian River State College?
Sure, it's been an interesting pathway. After I graduated with a bachelor degree down at Florida Atlantic, I was fortunate enough to go up to Washington, D.C. and work for then Congressman Dan Mica for a couple of years. So it was a nice experience, 3 or 4 years being up in Washington. Then after that, went out to California and was involved in commercial real estate in Silicon Valley, not knowing that someday that would have a different impact in my life of what I would be doing, being just doing commercial real estate at the time. But then finally getting back to Florida and the introduction to computers started with the New Horizons Learning Center. Taught at one of their schools down in South Florida, different certification type classes for computer and networking systems. And then started after that got a job working here in St. Lucie County for their MIS department, tech for the school system, and did that for about 5 years, and then finally came over to the college and have been teaching there since.
So in your real estate days, did you sell Steve Jobs' home?
No, but I have. And there's a lot of stories out there for some of those guys. When they first started out looking for office space. I think one of the guys took Wozniak one time for the company I worked for out there, Grubb and Ellis, and I think he picked him up in a Volkswagen Beetle. And went around looking for R&D space for him, but
Not a surprise. Sure. That's not, hey, garages. I mean, that's how it all started. Yeah. Wow.
That could be a whole other show. Your experiences in Silicon Valley. We're having you back next week, Professor.
Oh my.
All right, Stephen. Same thing to you.
Okay.
Pathway to the college.
Yeah, so I got my first computer. Grandma bought it for me off the Home Shopping Club back in the days, if anybody remembers that from the early 90s. I was always kind of a curious kid. I ended up taking it apart with a screwdriver one day, and after my mom unleashed her torment and frustration on me, I was grounded for the entire summer until I figured out how to put it back together. There was no Google back then, so it took me about 2 months. And then it's kind of been a love affair ever since. Straight out of high school, I went into the Marines. I was a computer security specialist with the United States Marine Corps. And then I got out and started doing freelance web development, and that's when I really started seeing the how unsecured everything was, interacting between database servers, web servers, things like that. It led me here to IRSC to take the position as cybersecurity manager, and now I'm working on my master's and enjoying my job.
Excellent. So let's before we get into our conversation, let me go over a couple of facts here. Experts are warning that not only are small businesses now firmly in the crosshairs of cyber criminals, they are fast becoming their favorite target, and they are often woefully unprepared, according to a recent report. The latest government security breaches survey found that nearly 3/4, almost 75%, of small organizations reported a security breach in the last year, an increase on the 2013 and 2014 surveys. SMEs, as we call them, small to medium-sized enterprise, are now being pinpointed by digital attackers. According to the latest statistics released by cybersecurity firm Symatech, more than half of the phishing attacks carried out using the fake emails, which we're very familiar with at the college, carried out in December last year, were against SMEs. So, again, SMEs really a target out there.
Oh, did I tell you I won the Nigerian lottery?
Yeah, you did. Wow.
Wait a minute, so did I. Something's not right here. We should get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, you two better meet after
We
this
need
to
to.
figure out
We need
who
to
really won
collaborate.
that Nigerian
Absolutely.
lottery. Cybercrime was strong in 2015, and experts forecast a continuation in 2016. The criminals are making money, expanding their businesses, and new entrants are taking advantage of the growth market. Small businesses should expect to be targets in 2016, and that's from a recent report on the Cyber Experts blog. So again, it's obvious, gentlemen, that cybersecurity has become an issue even in small business. So again, let's just talk a little bit about cybersecurity in general. I mean, what is the definition of cybersecurity? Who wants to take that one?
Sure, I'll take that one for you. So, cybersecurity has a lot to do with the protection of information in the systems, and that's what you want to make sure that you have in place, some security that's going to protect records, all kind of records, whether it be credit card, health records, things like that, from being hacked into and then obviously downloaded into another whoever malicious attacker is at that time. I think with small businesses, you were talking about earlier, small businesses. The one thing you got to think about them, we all hear about the big, Target got this, Bank of America got denial of service and so forth. But the small businesses, the logistics of trying to solve who it is, there's just not enough people in the field. So who's going to get the attention? Obviously, the big enterprise companies. So if you've got not just organized crime out there, but if you've got states also with resources that are unlimited as far as equipment and people to do this, they're just going to go right through, and they've got these automated scripts, and it all works very fast. It doesn't take them long if you put a server up with a public IP address on the internet that it's going to get scanned probably within the 24 hours by somebody to see what's going. First, they want to see what's going on with it, what kind of information's there, what kind of system they have set up. Do a little homework there themselves. Then they'll go to step 2 if they see a vulnerability there or something of interest and hit it. You hear about some of these things with just the average home user if somebody was able to get into a system and maybe and get credit card information or banking information. And you know what? I'm just gonna draw out $2 a month from your bank account. Now today we see that, we might say, oh well, here's another charge that I'm getting charged by the bank, $2. All right, whatever. You don't notice that. But if they're out there and able to do 5 million people at a time like that, well, that adds up quick. Yeah, that's not bad. So you stay under the radar more when you're in smaller business. That's why smaller businesses do have to be ready and have to address those issues.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and to expand upon that, I really believe that cybersecurity nowadays, it's not just corporate or small business, it's any business. Right. Any online connected business is really at threat. And the problem with the small businesses, they typically don't have the resources to protect or to be proactive about it. They typically have to wait and be reactive, and by then the damage is already done. Right. So the average cyber intrusion on any kind of business, corporate, small, medium business, anything like that, is 200 days unnoticed. So think about that.
Wow.
Yeah. Almost.
Well, and you Professor, again, you touched on it. Because I think when most people talk about cybersecurity, and again, we joked a little earlier about the timing on all this. With one of our candidates talking about the classified email and things. But we really do. We think of cybersecurity being an issue for big corporations, and you mentioned Target, and then Home Depots but honestly, cybersecurity, and I think what I hear you saying here very early on in the conversation is that really the easier targets are the small business, and like you say, gosh. Something that goes unnoticed for 200 days. I mean, how much information could be lost in 200 days?
A lot. A lot.
It was a big topic at our Florida Broadcasters Convention. I mean, because face it, outside of the mega companies like Clear Channel and CBS, all the rest of us here in the state of Florida are small businesses.
Right.
Yeah. So you bet.
Yeah. So it really is becoming a big issue. I mean, do you think that a lot of small businesses just they don't really understand the value of their data? I mean, is that?
Well, it's an easy thing to put off because there's an initial investment, but in the total scale of things, it's really nothing that you shouldn't think twice about. But they get busy, and we'll get to it, and days go by. Now these attackers don't want you to notice anything. They want you to just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll stay in the background, and
they cover their tracks well.
Yeah, and that's why you get so many days that it goes untracked or whatever. But really, with in the scale of things, with a little minimal investment, another machine and some programs put on, they could definitely step up and help protect themselves better with some things.
Well, and give us an example too. I mean, you talked about the example of just taking $2 a month out of your account. What are some cyber attackers looking for, especially in that small business space? I mean, what would they be trying to get from a small business?
Data, customer data. Basic customer information records, basically across the board, any kind of business typically have a value of about $150. It increases to about $380 if it's a healthcare record. So it's pretty much, about 70% of all hacking is done for cybercrime reasons. The rest is hacktivism and then other small things, Right. But yeah, it's pretty much all done for money in the long run.
So you're saying they basically get the data and they sell the data?
Resell the records, absolutely.
That's huge. I think I have. There's a stat that I was looking at today about some of the records out there that are sold, and it's there's three things that they'll want to get when it comes to just getting information about a person, not credit card information or anything like that. Is the what, the who, and the where. And I think as I was looking in there, who has the information right now about the who? Really not too many, except maybe like Facebook,
Right.
or Google the what's of a person. And then, so this last thing is their location. Where are they? Right. And that's they were saying just that alone, knowing that information, where a person is, and it can be done with a bunch of different things, especially with your cell phone and GPSs that are around them, is that it's a $10 billion business over the next 10 years. Just getting
Billion?
that billion
As a B.
Oh, yeah.
as a B, selling that information.
Wow.
We in the U.S., just real quick, because I know we're on time limit here, we in the U.S. actually have $1 trillion worth of cybercrime happening every year. Just in the U.S., $1 trillion.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break from our conversation, but we will be back. This is Startup Talk.
Express Printing in Port St. Lucie is proud to present Startup Talk from Indian River State College. You see Express Printing in its new US 1 location in the Chris Plaza, just south of the Boulevard across from Walmart, is the one-stop shop for entrepreneurs throughout the Treasure Coast. Whether you're starting a business or building one, Express Printing can offer insight on how to separate you from your competition. Let Express Printing help you rebrand your business as well. The backbone of America is its entrepreneurial spirit, shared by Express Printing and Indian River State College. Express Printing in a newer and larger facility to assist entrepreneurs. Express Printing, 878-7975. That's 878-7975. Express Printing. Look for the red sign that says, "We come to you."
And we are back. This is Startup Talk. I am Tom Kindred. We are discussing tonight with our guest, Professor Cliff Kemp and Mr. Stephen Nicholson. We are talking about cybersecurity and kind of some impressive stats, scary impressive stats that we talked about before we took the break. But let's just drop back real quick. I want to go back. And Professor, talk to us a little bit about the cybersecurity program at the college.
Sure.
We now offer some degrees in cybersecurity, and I think Steve is. You talked a little bit about your background coming out of that education, but talk to us a little bit about the IRSC programs.
Well, basically, we're looking at two programs, one with an AS degree, and then, of course, a lot of our students will go on for the bachelor degree, so we have that in place. In the AS degree, and something good about these classes, not only are you getting credit for it in your degree, but they're big industry certifications, which carry some weight out there when you're looking for jobs and things like that. For example, we have the A+ classes that's broken up into 1 and 2, 1 being more of the hardware, and 2 talks a lot on the software side of things. Also, we have a Network Plus class teaching about general networking. We have the CCNA program at our academy at our school also. That's great with networking. We have wireless. I teach a couple of wireless classes, wireless administration, and then there's another class, security for wireless, which I like that class a lot because that's my forte of teaching is the security aspects of things. But along with this, the server, the Windows servers, Microsoft certification classes. I have a network forensics class that helps them show tools and different ways that you can discover bad things that are happening over a network in a system. Wow. And we also have a new class starting this fall that's not in our catalog right now. It's so new. It's called Security Plus, and that'll be taught live at our main campus. And again, that's a big certification, Security Plus. Then from our bachelor degree, there's 3 classes that I teach there. Applications in Security is one of them. And that uses our Certified Ethical Hacker book, which is a huge security certification out there.
Not to interrupt, but that was my favorite course at IRSC. I must give them a plug. If you are a potential student going through the bachelor's program, take ISM 4320. You will not regret it.
With Professor
With
Cliff.
Professor Kemp. He's the only one that teaches it. So.
That's right. Okay.
All right, I'll pay you for lunch.
Thank you.
I'll get lunch. And I also have a data mining class, which is data mining today, just with everything we were talking about together. And that's what they do when they want this information is they mine it, and all of a sudden, you'll see things. You'll go to something, and something will pop up from an ad from somewhere, and you went, how'd that get? I was just looking at that the other day. How'd that happen? But data mining, and what we do from a security standpoint is you can data mine the network traffic and look for patterns of different type of attacks. Do that. And then a cryptography class that I teach there for that.
I mean, that's an impressive program, and that's all under the Applied Technology program at Indian River State College. Majority of the classes held in the Kite Center, I'm
Absolutely.
assuming.
Yeah.
They're also all available online for the bachelor's too. So
Okay.
students.
I was going to ask how much of your program is online.
100%
A lot of
of
it,
bachelor's.
and I'm glad you asked that question, because you say, well, online I'd like to get some, it's nice to see the instructor live or a lab or something like that, and that's where I coordinate with Steve in some of my classes. Hey, we've got this coming up about this certain attack or a software program that you use, and we'll set up a date that we'll have a live lab, and then he sets up the lab, and times he's joined me together, or he can take it from there when we get there for him, and they get the opportunity to get hands-on doing some of these things.
And that's what I was going to ask you, Steve. Talk to us a little bit about, because I've taken the tour in the Kite Center, and they bring us in your lab. I mean, it's an impressive tool
thank you.
to teach the students with.
Yeah, we actually have, we maintain our own student network separate from the college's IT network, so we actually have our own separate IT department in there, and that's basically my primary job duties is maintain that network. But we actually have 2 separate labs now. We just finished creating a second one. We're keeping a standard one for the 1,000 and 2,000 level, the associate students, and then we created a more advanced cybersecurity threat and hacking lab. That's over in 116, right next to the Advanced Robotics Studio.
Right.
And from there, we actually get the students, we're going to debut that in the fall, they're actually going to get a chance to play with a lot of the software and tools, vulnerability analysis, penetration testing, things like that they will see in a corporate environment. So they actually get the degree and also the experience they need, that's modern experience to go right out into the job world.
And the address is IRSC.hacker.
Yeah, do you have a hacker student club?
Yeah, we actually have an ethical hacking club.
No way.
We absolutely do. Absolutely do.
Oh, my.
We have a computer science club and an ethical hacking club. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So you guys can actually, and I think when I've been on the tour over there, you talk about you can create simulations where the students can either identify hackers or they're working it from the other way.
Yeah, we do that a lot. We virtualize a lot of things. We have what's called a Blade server system, and we virtualize a lot of servers and things, but I custom program mini hackathons or programming competitions where they try to fuzz software or things like that. But we do a lot of stuff like that. Every now and then we have competition for the students and more advanced students. We give them little prizes and things just to kind of break them out of that shell. We also try to push as many of the national and international hackathons that are out there, like the National Cyber League Championships and a couple other things. We get teams together and get them involved in that.
So I've got to believe now that your degrees, a student coming out of Indian River State College, getting one of these degrees, picking up, while they're getting their degree, they're picking up a couple of national certifications too. I would assume these are pretty sought after students, I would assume. I mean, it's probably a popular program, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, one of my other job responsibilities is to manage the CAPE program, the certification program there. And so just this past, as far as spring, this past year, we had almost 60 students get certified, and that's between the A+, the basic PC Tech certification, the Network Plus, the Network Admin, and the Security Plus that Professor Kemp teaches.
Wow.
So yeah, you can get free certifications that literally and a degree that you can step right out the door and make some really serious money.
All right, impressive guys, impressive program. Let's step back into the small business world real quick. Talk to me a little bit about what are some of the basic safeguards that a small business can deploy or adopt to better protect themselves from a cyber attack?
There's some things that should be in place when you talk about small businesses, and that is, one, keep your machines up to date. Do your updates when they say there's an update out there, because sometimes it's about features, but a lot of times it's about patching up holes that are vulnerabilities that are in your systems. So you want to stay on top of doing that. Now, passwords. And now there's
I have to change it from password.
Or not.
It can't be the dog, not the dog's
They'll get
name.
you either way.
Right.
I heard that about dog names.
So, if you really want to be secure, you need to get about at least 15 characters in there for that. Yeah. Even if somebody were to grab that, it would take them a very, we won't be here, long time to try to crack that. But if you're doing regular words and you're doing an 8-character name or something like that, That's no problem for that to
13 seconds to brute force
and do.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
An 8-character password with like no special characters, no uppercase letters, nothing like that, just numbers and regular alphabetical letters is 13 seconds brute forcing on an average machine.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable.
And there's another big one that at my classes that I have that I always tell them. They say, how can I make my computer secure and this and that? Antivirus. Yes, you should have antivirus. But if I had to pick one thing about that gets people in trouble is going and surfing the internet, being on the internet in your administrative account. You should always create a regular user account in your machine, and when you go out to things on the internet, something like that. And the reason for that is if somebody was able to get into your computer while you were on the internet, if they're in your computer at that time, they are on as administrator. Mm-hmm. That means they can do whatever they want. If you're on as just a regular user, well, there's only a certain amount of privilege you have, and they won't be able to execute programs and things like that. And
so you're saying don't go on the internet as the administrator?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Because and another thing you got to remember about the antivirus is these are signatures that map. Think of it as a thumbprint. So this is the bad guy. Here's a thumbprint. Do you have that in your system? Nope, don't see that thumbprint. You're good. Or yes, I found one. Oh, you have a virus. But that's only ones that have been found. There are many out there that what they refer to as 0 day, meaning that there's no signatures for any of the antivirus companies that they have. And so if you're out there, it's good to have antivirus. It'll get a lot of the ones that have been found and stuff like that. But if they get into and find a vulnerability in your machine that hasn't been found yet, again, if you're on as administrator, especially on the internet, they'll definitely execute that on you.
And that's 1/3 of all attacks, by the way, are unknown protocols, ports, software, services, things like that. 1/3 of them. So it's a very real consideration.
Wow.
Talk to me about educating employees. I remember back in the day when
that's my big one.
Yeah, we had, it's any given time we had 30 to 50 employees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, many of them had access to our computers. They were on the internet at the time. It's sort of back in the old days, but things got a little more sophisticated. But talk about the employees. Should you limit employees' use and access to the internet while they're on the parts counter or they're on the sales counter? I mean, where does how do they play into all this?
I'm personally a big believer that the human element can be the strongest factor of cybersecurity and also the weakest factor. I believe employee training is absolutely paramount to having a good cybersecurity policy at your organization. We only hear the faces. We talk about the target breach. Well, it wasn't really a target breach. It was a third-party vendor breach that actually ended up with that privilege escalation and caused the loss of all that data. So, again, if employees were properly trained, if things were properly, policies were set in place, it wouldn't be an issue.
Right. Professor, same thoughts on the
Same
employees?
thing, and that goes in, and then and the subset of that would be the email.
Mm-hmm.
As you see at the college and emails we get, I mean, they just target you, and they will customize that email to something that might be of interest to you, or that free vacation down at St. Martin if you click here.
Yeah.
And you're done. As soon as you do that, you're done. That's it. The game's over. And to be educated about that and different things for employees helps a lot.
Talk about the, obviously with everyone downloading all these apps. I mean, this has got to be a big issue now. Mobile attacks. What's going on in the area of mobile?
Okay, well, let me just wake you up to a couple of facts here about that. And the people that might be out there.
Here we go.
I'm going to give you 4 stats here. 100% of the top 100 paid apps on the Google Android platform have been hacked. 56% of the top 100 paid apps in Apple's iOS have been hacked. 73% of the free popular apps in Android have been hacked, and then 53% of popular apps in iOS. So I could probably, if you had an iPhone or an Android, I could go to it right now, and if you're looking at these stats and you say, well, I know at least probably half of them have been hacked at one time.
I thought the people
now, whether you've been
Apple-
hacked or not is a different thing.
People at Apple said, though, that Apple is not hackable.
That's actually a common misconception. What happened there was that, Apple only had a small market share. So if you're creating a virus or you're creating malware for somebody, are you going to create it for 96% of the market share that Microsoft had, or are you going to create it for the 4% that Apple had? So that was kind of like a creative way of parlaying that statistic into benefiting them, but it's completely untrue. Completely untrue. In fact, 100% of the Android, the stat about that, Android apps have been hacked because Android's open source. That's why. People can take it, decompile it, and see what it actually does.
Okay, back up. What do you mean by open source?
Means it's not proprietary software. It's anybody can view the code, can edit it, alter it, make their own version of it, that type of thing. So that's kind of the difference there between those two markets.
Wow.
So explain to me then, understanding that I could have an app on my phone that's been hacked. So what does that mean? What in layman's terms, somebody could be in my phone, getting all my contacts.
Do you check your email on your phone? Do you do banking stuff on your phone?
I might.
Send pictures to your wife?
Nothing exciting, but sure I might send my picture to my wife.
Right,
sure,
right. But it's still stuff you don't want out there. Chat,
right.
They could remotely turn on your camera, see what you're doing at the time, record some conversations if you're having a business call.
So if they've hacked into an app that I've downloaded on my phone, they would have access to my phone just like I would.
Most of the time, they would have unlimited privileged access. Yeah, they'd be able to do anything.
They could turn your camera on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Turn the microphone on without you knowing. Oh yeah. Easily too. That's one of the most common hacks.
I put a Band-Aid on mine.
Yeah, see,
on my laptop.
You have yours uncovered right there. Somebody could be looking.
Well, yeah,
at us
because we need two-way conversation on the Skype. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I guess. So give me the rule of thumb. Only download really valuable, usable apps, or what's the rule of thumb here on apps on your phone?
The average person has 285 apps on their phone.
I am definitely not average.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
But the average person has 285 apps. I would say probably outside of maybe 5 or 6 of them, you really don't need them. A lot of them are just third-party connectors to other services or other websites,
Right.
and they're all superfluous. So it's just like it's just like Swiss cheese. The more holes it is, the easier you can stick your finger through it. So
Right.
it's really about limiting your exposure. The smaller digital footprint you can create, the more safe you are.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller digital footprint. I like that.
I remember we got a very unusual email when we were an ESPN affiliate, and it just says disregard. Now, keep in mind, there's huge letters, ESPN, right? Disregard any memo you get from ESPN because we've been hacked. And it's like, wait a minute, okay, what do I open this memo or not?
Do I believe it?
Yeah. It was so funny. It was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is. And like we said, we sort of get those notices too sometimes at the college. And it really is. They're very like you say. They're very simplistic emails. Just hey, click here. We just need your information, and it looks real, and you just think it's no big deal. Click here.
My favorite is when they actually send out the ones with the usernames that actually clicked. I don't know if you've seen those. And they actually call those people out. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh man.
Now, of course, like with any technology program, I think obviously, we'll see what the professor and Stephen think here, but obviously we've got to turn to middle schoolers, obviously, to help us with this problem of cybersecurity. So, in keeping with turning
teach you how to turn the phone on.
That's right. Teach me all the things I need to know. Yes. My children are getting too old now. My son's 18, daughter's 23 now. They pretty much can't help me anymore. I've got to find a younger person to help me now. But let's talk about, you are now reaching down to some very young people in our community. You've created a cyber camp this summer. So, Stephen, talk about the camp.
Okay.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah, so it's put on by the Air Force Association. It's a program called the Cyber Patriot Program. It's been around about 8 seasons now, so a little over 6 years. But it basically focuses on getting, one of the main things people think that kids coming up nowadays are so inherently great at technology. Right. They kind of confuse access to information for knowledge nowadays.
Right.
And so we were seeing an alarming rate where students were coming into our program that weren't prepared. I mean, even the basics of computer usage were not there. So we began looking for programs to partner with and actually teach them. And the Cyber Patriot was a good fit. Like I said, it's put on by the Air Force Association. It's sponsored by Northrop Grumman, so it's got some big military contractors behind it. And every year, we meet every Thursday, and I have about 50 or 60 kids that meet, mostly from Vero Beach High School's Air Force Junior ROTC program, Stewart Civil Air Patrol, and Fort Pierce Civil Air Patrol. and we meet every Thursday and go over topics in cybersecurity, and I give them lessons, and we do mini hackathons and teach them about cyberbullying and protecting themselves, and pretty much everything we can.
Again, age group that's.
I have as young as 11 and as old as 23.
All right, and how does one get involved in the program? How would a student or parent
They
learn?
can email me at snichols, SNICHOLS, at irsc.edu, and I'll give them any information they need. Or they can contact Vero Beach High School's Air Force Junior ROTC program, Stewart Civil Air Patrol, or Fort Pierce Civil Air Patrol.
All right. And that's not just a summer camp, it sounds like.
I've been doing this all year round, yeah. And the camp's actually coming up July 25th through the 29th. It'll be a week long. We're going to do some pretty intense hackathons on not only the Windows operating system, but a popular Linux operating system called Ubuntu. And then we're going to have a little competition the last day and a pizza party and award ceremony and send them on their way. So and do it again next year.
Okay.
Interesting you say Linux. That our system, which would be, to computer folks would be totally archaic, is actually
Unix?
less hacked, I guess, if you will, than Windows. We have friends who own radio stations who maybe go down once a week,
Oh, yeah.
and these are folks just knocking them off the air.
Yep.
And they have a tougher time with us
Yeah.
getting through the wall there. But yeah, it's amazing.
So a hacker could actually take you off the air.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, CBS Network alerted us that somebody had been fooling around with the, CBS satellite systems.
And that's important to think about, too. It's not just hacking vulnerable systems. They could do what's called a distributed denial of service attack, where they take all these millions of zombie computers that they already have control of and just start requesting information from your IP over and over again. That's actually anonymous. That's how they, quote-unquote, hack a lot of their targets and bring down a lot of, like, the PlayStation Network a couple Christmases ago and things like that. They just do that by simply overloading the servers that are providing that service. So they wouldn't even need to find any vulnerabilities here. They could literally just overload you with data requests until it went down.
Amazing.
So again, I kind of want to go back just as we sort of kind of begin to wrap things up. But I want to go back again because I think an important part of this is that small business just don't think of cyber attacks in their world. It's always about the bigger companies. Again, Professor mentioned it earlier about the targets. But again, we want to stress tonight that cybersecurity is becoming. It has become, but each and every day becomes more and more important in that small business space.
Absolutely.
And again, just kind of reiterate again, what in a small business, what would a hacker be looking to do? We talked about the information being valuable to them, but again, what is the information that you would get from a small retail store, from from some small service organization?
Well, I would say one thing is your customer accounts, any kind of proprietary product that you may have, and have access to that. We had a situation where if they got into your system via the router, they could route things out. Like one example is like your email, and we're able to see some of your email and what you're doing, whether it be a competitor or somebody just being funny. They can even change that email.
Yeah, I forget about the email. So they could actually, it could be even just to gain knowledge about what your strategies your company's planning,
Exactly.
corporate espionage, looking at correspondence to sales reps, and they could get pricing information.
Right.
They could look at your inventory, how much inventory you have. So I mean, all of that is valuable information, certainly for the competition.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then again, you've pointed out that the data is where the real money is. So it's my customer list, my customers' addresses. And again, if you take credit cards, maybe via the internet, if you've got an e-commerce type website, all that could be accessed.
That's actually an excellent point, because your small retailer example, they actually have to maintain a certain node of compliancy, what's called PCI DSS compliancy. And they can actually be fined if they don't maintain that compliancy. It's the same thing as the HIPAA, the healthcare records HIPAA thing.
Right.
If a company, they could get double dipped on their fines because they could have all their data stolen, and then the government can come in and say, hey, $10,000 per infraction. Enjoy signing your business over to us.
Right.
So it's definitely a very real concern.
Yeah, and these are the kind of costly issues that a major Fortune 500 company, its cost of doing business, but these are the kind of costly issues that literally could put a small business person out of business.
Well, it's deadly for small business because you get that breach of trust. Some companies are so big they just will never fail. The world will always need a Visa. But yeah, small business, that's absolutely, it's a breach of trust between your customer base, and that's probably the most valuable point right there.
Okay. All right. Again, incredible program, Professor, that you're running over at the Kite Center. You've got 2-year degrees, you've got 4-year degrees, and as you pointed out, the entire time the students working towards their degree, they're picking up multiple highly recognized industry certifications. It's obviously a great program. You're doing a great job with that. Steve doing a great job. Again, Kemp.
July 25th through 29th.
July 25th through the 29th.
Now, do you have to be in those organizations, or
you don't have to be, but for the camp's kind of already paid for by the college. But to incur no costs going in the future, you have to be a member of either Air Force Junior ROTC or Civil Air Patrol.
And I think the last thing I want you guys to start thinking about is I think we need to put together a little bit of a workshop. I think that's our next move is a little workshop that we could put out there in the community for small business.
Absolutely. And beyond that, if any small businesses are out there that have questions, they're welcome to give me a call. My office line is 462-7145. If they have questions on cybersecurity getting set up, if they're looking for potential candidates to fill positions, I'm the point of contact for that. So absolutely, get a hold of me.
Well, that's a great point. Say that phone number again.
772-462-7145.
If you have a cybersecurity question, there it is.
Absolutely.
All right. Gentlemen, listen, I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to come by and have this conversation. This is an important conversation to have, an important topic, and I think it's just one that for small business people, it's not not on the big radar screen yet.
No, not yet.
But unfortunately, you don't want it to be because if it ever hits the radar screen, you may be 200 days too late.
It's already too late. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Professor Kemp and Steve. Thanks for coming by this evening. And with that, we will bring to close another segment of Startup Talk. Again, thank my guests this evening. And as always, I want to make sure that remind everyone that the business assistance programs and resources discussed on this evening's show are available through Indian River State College's Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute, engaged at every stage of enterprise. For more information on the EDI, its programs, and a complete listing of upcoming business training events, you can visit irscbiz.com. Greg, as always, thank you, sir.
You bet.
And we will talk to everyone next week on Startup Talk.
Sounds good. And you guys have a real good week. You have been listening to Startup Talk from Indian River State College, brought to you by Express Printing of Port St. Lucie and Indian River State College. This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, and WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station.